Hi everyone, it's Nicole McGurk from Mama Elephant, and today I have a designer series card share featuring the brand new Rewind stamp set for the August 2014 release. And I've created a watercolor background where my stamped images have resisted the ink. To do this, I'm going to stamp these three images from the Rewind stamp set, the cassette, and then the word rock, and then the additional phrase underneath that. I first took a powder bag tool or an anti-cling powder bag to the Tim Holtz watercolor paper. This is going to help the embossing powder stick only to the stamped images and not migrate anywhere else. I want to keep the design really crisp and clean. As I'm stamping, I'm going to heat it all at once, but I find it easier to see where I've been if I go ahead and apply the embossing powder as I'm stamping. So I've stamped the cassette and I'm going to stamp the word rock. Right underneath that, I want to make sure that the little tails there at the front and back of the word connect with the cassette player. I'll sprinkle the embossing powder on those. And then I will take that additional phrase. There's a whole bunch of them in this stamp set, and I'm going to use the one on with your bad self. I thought that would be really fun. I'm going to line that up and stamp it, center it right there underneath the word rock. Now that I have all these stamped, I'll just heat those up to set the embossing powder. I'm ready to start applying the distress inks, and for this project I've chosen to use Tumbled Glass, Shabby Shutters, Chipped Sapphire, and Seedless Preserves. So I'm starting with one of my lighter blue colors here. It's going to be kind of on the top half of my card, and I'm just going to lay down that color using the mini ink blending tool. I will take the Chipped Sapphire ink now and blend that right underneath it. I like to start off of the edge of the paper so that I don't get any of those harsh lines from the foam, and then blend it onto the paper design. I'm working on a craft sheet, so it's very easy to clean up when I'm done inking. I'll take the Shabby Shutters and apply that to that top part of the card. And you can see there's a definite line in between the colors right now, and I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to keep going over this and blending those colors together until it has a little bit more of a seamless, variegated design. I'm going to go in with my Tumbled Glass now and really smooth that out and blend it into the Shabby Shutters and the Chipped Sapphire. Then for the bottom of the card, I'll take that Seedless Preserves, which is this really pretty purple, and blend that into the Chipped Sapphire. And I wanted it to darken it quite a bit, so you can keep going over it until you get the color you want. And there I'm blending the Chipped Sapphire into the Seedless Preserves. I'm going to take a pretty big paintbrush and just grab some water and flick it. You can do this lots of different ways, but I really wanted some big droplets of water, so I'm using a paintbrush so that I can kind of add the water where I want to and make it heavier over that cassette tape. Next, I'm taking some black cardstock and one of the borders from the Basic Borders stamp set. This is an older Mama Elephant stamp set, and it's one of my favorites. It's just like it says, it's a basic stamp set, and it's great borders. I'm going to take this kind of diagonal multi-lined border and stamp it a couple times with Versamark ink on the black cardstock to create two borders for my card. I want to create a tone-on-tone look here, so I'm using some black embossing powder on the black cardstock. It's a very subtle pattern when it's finished and heat embossed, but I think it really adds a nice decorative edge to the card. So I'm going to go ahead and do two of those, sprinkle on my embossing powder, and then I'll heat that up and trim those both down into two borders. I've trimmed down the sides of my watercolor background now that the water is all dry on the design. And I'm going to go ahead and apply some of these Pretty Pink Posh sequins using a little matte medium and the quick stick tool. This makes it really great to keep your fingers out of the glue and to not accidentally get glue all over like I'm prone to do. So I'm simply using the adhesive and then using the quick stick tool to pick them up and place them right back down where I laid them out. This also shows just how awesome that water looks sprinkled all over the background, how it really wicked the ink away and gave it a great watercolor effect. Here are those two black borders. I'm going to go ahead and secure those to my card base. I didn't really worry too much about making sure they were trimmed evenly. I made sure that my front panel was trimmed evenly, and then I'm just going to center it, and it will cover up part of the design anyway, so I didn't have to worry about that too much. And then I'm just applying my adhesive right to my card base, since the glue for the sequins is still a little wet, and then I'll place my watercolored panel right there in the center of my card. Finally, I'm going to take some teeny tiny clear gemstones and place those in the center of all of my sequins. I think it just gives sequins a nice finished look. I don't always do this, but I really liked it for this simple card. I hope you've enjoyed this designer series card tutorial featuring the Mama Elephant Rewind stamp set. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time.